Last video, I asked the question, is Astro Bot PlayStation Jesus? And while it's still too soon to answer it, I do think his new game can boost that possibility. How's it going, nation? I'm PlayStacin, and I finally finished beating and platinuming Astro Bot, the first full AAA game under his belt that sort of works as both a sequel and a reboot of his IP. This is going to be my quote-unquote review for the game, and I plan on going as in-depth as possible with my experience. I will be covering these questions as the video goes on, discussing how Astro Bot is as a standalone title, how it stacks up against other collectathon platformers, and finally, where do we go from here? I think I've spent enough time rambling, so I say we get started. This is Astro Bot. Let me start this section off by saying that I haven't played both the Playroom, where Astro was first introduced, nor have I played his first official game, Astro Bot Rescue Mission, as I only own the PSVR 2, and sadly, it's not backwards compatible with VR1 games. Which is stupid. My only real experience with Astro Bot is with his free tech demo, Astro's Playroom, which I absolutely enjoy and still play from time to time when I'm wanting to unwind and turn my brain off when playing something. With that said, I know that there are elements taken from his previous entries featured in this new game, such as the other Astro Bots that are used as the main collectible in the entry. The story is extremely simple. When traveling through space, Astro and his crew are attacked by Nebulax, the space bully. Nebulax destroys the PS5-themed spaceship, steals its core parts and GPU, and hides them throughout 5 different galaxies, each protected by a boss fight. Like I said, it's extremely simple and opens up the player to the central gameplay loop of the game. Enter a level, find enough missing bots from Astro's crew to unlock that galaxy's boss stage, then defeat the boss. At the end of each galaxy, you'll find a key component of your PS5 spaceship and move on to the next galaxy. The gameplay loop is solid and works like every other cartoon platformer. And let me just say, the levels in this game are absolutely breathtaking to look at, and so much fun to explore. After booting up the game, I found myself picking my jaw from off the floor because I was just entranced by the bright colors, the bopping soundtrack, and how each level was set up with one central idea. Is it fun? Developers want players to treat their games seriously, and oftentimes when creating a level, they might stick to what makes sense. But with Astro, you might come across a water slide filled to the brim with bath toys, and slide to the bottom just to dive into a live aquarium with aquatic sea life, and that's just awesome. You can clearly tell that the developers were having just as much of a blast designing each level as they did playing it. And the level variety is actually pretty massive, considering the fact that there are around 80 levels, and while some of them might have similar skyboxes, the level's gameplay will always differ. One minute you might be platforming across spinning satellites, and in another, you'll be shrinking down to the size of a mouse and exploring a house. I'm a strong believer that the developer's intention was to take pre-existing expectations a player may have with a level, then exceed said expectations when progressing through said level. Same goes for the various gadgets you'll have to use to progress through each level, each affecting the way Astro navigates through the level. For example, you may have a backpack that lets you boost forward, and one that lets you boost upward. We have one that inflates you up like a balloon, and one that has you stop time. Each power-up never overstayed its welcome, and were always well placed. And it's not just in the ordinary levels, but also in their special PlayStation-inspired levels as well. At the end of every galaxy, just after defeating the central boss of the galaxy, you'll be able to explore a world from a PlayStation character that was being held against their will by the said boss. There are a total of 5 of these PlayStation-exclusive worlds, those being based on Ape Escape, God of War, Uncharted, Loco Roco, and Horizon Forbidden West. Each one of these levels brought the foundations of their respective games and blended them with the fundamentals of an Astro Bot level, each one brimming with references and Easter eggs based on the game you're currently exploring. And I gotta say, This is probably the closest we're ever going to get to a modern take at the Ape Escape franchise. I honestly wish we could have gotten more levels like these, because to me they felt the most creative. I mean, having to blend the mechanics from both Astro and whatever game he was parodying had to not only work mechanically, but thematically. However, these were merely just a taste of what the game was really about. And that was the history of those who made their mark on PlayStation. With a total of 305 rescue bots to rescue, half of them were dedicated to characters who made their mark on the PlayStation console, similar to how Astro's Playroom's dedicated collectibles were old PlayStation hardware. Within these levels, these hidden bots were always placed in a segment that made sense in that character's context. For example, when rescuing the Crash Bandicoot bot, he is placed behind a crate of Wumpa fruit instead of a crate of acorns that were heavily present throughout the level. Jack, who is also rescued in the same level, is hidden behind a platforming section that's almost similar to the Mars Tomb level from Jak 2. Characters like Sly Cooper and Joker were hidden in the casino level because they are master thieves. Characters like Dante, Sir Daniel, Virgil, the Knight from Demon Souls, they're hidden in more spookier environments. And of course, there were characters I didn't think I was going to see, like Teddy from Persona 4, or the cat from Stray, or even Polygon Man. Knack made it in the game somehow. Knack! There were actual thought that went in for the placement of these characters, which was great. However, I was kind of shocked to see that some characters were missing. For starters, it's kind of hard to believe that both Sora and Cloud Strife were missing in the game, because I would say both Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy VII were massive successes on the PlayStation side of things. Sora, I could kind of understand, as he is a character owned by Disney. But Cloud? Where's he at? I also noticed that the Until Dawn characters were missing from the game, which is weird because they were present as an Easter egg in Astro's Playroom. So where did they go? There were absolutely no Square Enix characters featured in Astro Bot, which begs the question, why? I mean, even Tony Hawk made his way into the game, and that one, well, I wasn't expecting him. In fact, I wasn't expecting a lot of these deep cuts, and they had characters from games I had never even heard of. But Cloud? Nah, clearly didn't do anything relevant. Another thing I kind of didn't get was for the God of War representation, as they only seem to stick with characters from the Norse saga. I mean, Zeus was a pretty major character from the God of War franchise. So much so that he became a fighter in PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. Yeah, I said it. Shout out to those who remember. Overall, the game was a blast. It's a love letter to everything that's made PlayStation great and more. I hope to see more from the little bot. So where do we go from here? Astro Bot has slowly been turning into PlayStation's new mascot, as he tends to show up whenever there's something new that Sony wants to show. With Rescue Mission, it was to show off what the PSVR could really do with the right development team. Astro's Playroom was to show off what the PS5 was capable of, as well as a celebration of how far PlayStation hardware has come. And this game? Astro Bot is a love letter to PlayStation history, by showcasing amazing characters from amazing games that made their mark on PlayStation. With over 150 rescue bots sculpted after iconic characters, it's honestly hard to pinpoint on where we can go from here without treading the same grounds. Astro Bot is often compared to Super Mario, which is strange. While they are both platforming genres, Mario is able to do something that Astro can't yet. Mario is able to do what he does because his fundamentals are based solely around platforming. As long as there are platforms for him to jump on, you can put him essentially anywhere, an island, a galaxy, a party, or even on the racetrack. But Astro Bot, he has been completely solidified and grounded within the world of PlayStation hardware. So I ask again, where do we go from here? That's not a kart racer. Personally, I do think it's possible that Team Asobi could make another platformer, but this time really focusing on the worlds that Astro represents. Getting to play levels based on Ape Escape, Uncharted, and God of War were among the biggest highlights of the game, so why not go a little bit deeper with this premise? It's no secret that PlayStation is sitting on a lot of dormant IPs, so why not shed more light onto them by having Astro take the lead in other PlayStation titles? Imagine a level where Astro enters the world of Legend the Dragoon, and suddenly it becomes a turn-based excursion whenever enemies appear. Or imagine entering the world of Sly Cooper and it becomes a stealth platformer. I think something more like that would be grounds for another massive success. I don't know how many times it needs to be said, but Astro Bot is such a breath of fresh air for both players and the brand he represents. These days, the only way for us to get a taste of what PlayStation used to give us is with indie titles that work as homages to the games that inspired them. I do hope that we get more Astro Bot games because it seems that Team Asobi just doesn't miss. The lead director has already confirmed that we're going to be getting more content in the coming months, all for free, which leaves me excited and hopeful for Astro's future. Maybe we'll see Cloud. Maybe we'll see Zeus. Maybe we'll see those pesky Until Dawn kids. Who knows? The only worry I have is this. Astro Bot is already an amazing game. Everyone says it is. Everyone who's played it says this is it. A lot of people have been so bold to call this the Mario killer, which it's not. But it has to be truly aspiring to even be considered as great as a character as Mario. But the only thing that I worry is, what if Team Asobi threw all their cards on the table? What if this was it? They were like, yo, let's make a 10 out of 10. But this is it. We threw all our cards out. What if that's what happened? I surely hope not. To me, Astro Bot is a 10 out of 10, despite the lack of Sora and Cloud. The haptic feedback on the controllers were non-stop. I think the only problem I really had was all these cool happenings on the controller caused my controller to die a lot faster. But man, was it worth it. But what do you guys think? Have you played Astro Bot? Do you want to play more of Astro Bot? Post down in the comment section below, and until next time, I'll see you later. Peace.